Can my dad go?
Check, check.
I'm good. And let's go. This is the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy. And the other fucking guy sitting right next to me to start the new year. That is why we are here on a Friday, is to start the new year with you. We didn't take the day off. It's Leo. Leo, what's going on, brother?
Not much, man. It's a beautiful new year so
It
far.
is a
really
beautiful
is.
new year. It is. We went out and came in a very good fashion. We had reservations. I got reservations for 4 at Catch, which is our new favorite restaurant. And they did not disappoint. Had a pre-selected menu, like 4 courses. And man, that shrimp that I talked about last time was so good this time. I could just sit there and eat a whole fucking bowl of that shit, because they're these little round balls of chunky shrimp meat.
But it's not fried? Okay.
No, it's fried,
okay.
dude. It's fried. It is like so fucking good. And then the Wagyu dumplings again. Oh my God, I could just eat those 2 things and that I would be in heaven. But we did have a very nice New York strip as well. We did have a sea bass that came to the table. I meant to take a chunk of that, but didn't. But just overall, just a great meal. It was a great place. And we had great company. Dr. Chaffin, who is my dentist, and he's really more than, like, he's not a basic dentist. This guy does like reconstruction of mouths and like crazy type of dentistry. And he's got some things that he's been working on that is really going to change the whole surgical dentistry worldwide. It's that big a deal. Like, nobody's doing what he's doing. And I thought it'd be interesting. We're going to see if we can also get him to do the podcast, because he's also a fit doctor. You know, he believes in being fit and in fitness and in health, and also business, and kind of tying all that together like I do. Okay. So that's why I think we kind of hit it off. And I wanted to hang out with him, and we picked the perfect time to hang out with the first time with the wives, and it was good. It was a really good time, and they had a great time.
Hell yeah.
Great place. Can't say enough about it. It's in Scottsdale. It's if you're ever in town, it's at the Fashion Mall, and good luck getting a reservation. I am not helping you. Although I appreciate that Mike helped me. Thank you, Mike Newcomer. So, yeah, but now I have a direct line. Mike hooked me up directly with the general manager. Although this one I was able to get myself. I just was able to barely book it online. It was perfect. It was 8 o'clock, which is I normally like to be 6:30 to 7:30 or 7 to 7:30 is really my prime time, but a little bit later worked out being it was New Year's Eve, and by the time we were done with everything, we were sitting there and it was 11:35. So we thought, hey, none of us had done this in a while. Let's stay up, stay out, and bring in the new year together instead of bringing it in on the road on the way home. So that's exactly what we did. And 70 miles an hour the whole way home. I kept it fucking easy. I saw some college football player, I believe it was an Ole Miss player, and they won, by the way, played fantastic football in one of the best games of the weekend. But I don't know if the player actually played or not, but I think on the 26th, he got arrested doing 110, no license plates, and weed in the car. Dude, you remember my rule? Do you remember my life rule to remember for all time? If you're going to do something illegal, do not do 2 illegal things at one time.
Yeah, that is very true. Keep it one at a time.
I mean, sure. And if you got the license, if you don't have the license plate on your vehicle,
don't have weed.
Well, you definitely don't want to bring attention to yourself by speeding.
By speeding for sure.
But of all the dumb things you could do, that's the worst one, probably even worse than the speeding, because it's just you're just asking for to be pulled over, right? And then if you're driving without a license plate, don't have weed in the car. If you're gonna speed, don't have weed in the car.
Very true.
And if you're gonna have weed in the car, just don't speed.
Yeah.
Just pick one thing that you're gonna do illegal of those 3. But do not do 2. Do not do 2 illegal
advice,
things.
By the way. Not legal advice.
Well, of course not. This is illegal advice. Actually, it's illegal advice. I'm giving illegal advice by someone who knows. I am very experienced at this.
I know we don't get too many viewers, but it was a joke. That was a joke. For any sponsors in the future, that was a joke.
Good save. So I don't know. Does the article say whether or not this dude played? I don't know.
I can look up whether or not he pays.
And he's an Ole Miss player. What the fuck is he doing? It was his family must be in Alabama. That's the only reason. If you're playing for Ole Miss, that's the only reason you could be, No, it says here from Walton Beach, Florida. Why were you in Alabama, dude? Is that where the weed dealer was? What's the matter, man? There's no
not good ones.
There's no trailer parks in Florida. There's plenty of them. Somebody has weed. And hell, you get to go to dispensaries now. It's not like the old days.
It is not.
Where you knock on the door and then wait for the guy to weigh it out. Or at least I assume that's what they do. Check it for all the seeds. Dude, there's a lot of seeds.
That is so fucking annoying. That was like one of the biggest headaches ever. I'm like, what the fuck am I buying? I didn't buy fruit.
And tree branches, right? It's like, get the fuck out of here with the tree branch shit, right?
I've been trying to look up whether or not he played, but all that's coming up is the fact that he got arrested with drugs.
Yeah, I don't even know if he played. Probably not. But who knows these days?
I mean, if he's really risking it like that, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's probably like, I'm a freshman. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to play. I'm just along for the ride, and I'm going to ride high. That must have been the thing. All right. Yeah. So anyways, don't do that. We did see somebody in Queen Creek, 2 cars behind, 2 cop cars behind, 1 cop car ahead, and the dude doing the walk,
So He didn't. Oh,
doing the walk, the sobriety test. And there's 3 cop cars there. When there's 3 cop cars there and you're walking,
they're fucking with you at that point.
Yeah, you're done, man. It doesn't matter how that turns out.
They're doing that just for
shits and giggles. They're gonna make you blow. This is just part of the whole thing, and it's a long night. They're fucking with you.
They're fucking with you.
You said that exactly right. We don't even drink, and I drove 70. I didn't even do one illegal thing. 70 the whole way. Other than, we were 5 miles over the speed limit, but.
He said, so we got a comment from Bob saying 2 illegal things at one time. He said, hold my beer, Troy.
That's the point. And Bob can tell you. Bob fucked up. It's not Bob just proving my point. Do not do 2 or more illegal things at the same time. Just do them one at a time. That's.
What up, Mike? One of the homie Mikes is joining the stream. He said, I can't confirm from experience that this is sound advice, legal or not.
It's illegal advice. But thanks for checking in, guys. We appreciate it so much. And we'll check back to see if there's anything else. So great weekend, obviously. Yesterday, we had a wedding to go to. Yeah, I know. It seems a little bit unusual.
2 years, huh?
But the young man that we've gotten to know, Hunter Nelson, and his now wife, Ava, got married yesterday at Ncaa Farm.
Farm?
Ncaa. Not naughty. Although they do have a little play on words there here in Queen Creek. And it was very nice. It was outdoor. It was a small.
Is it Knott's Berry Farm?
No. Knotty Farm. And they had some horses. They also had a zebra, man. You ever seen a zebra I've seen zebras in zoo, Arizona. But I've never seen. You see fucking everything in Arizona. Honestly,
we're like Florida's third cousin or something.
And then they had a couple of those. It reminded me of that commercial, the Limu commercial with Liberty Mutual or whoever it is.
With the emu.
Yeah, the emu. They had a couple of those too. Those are kind of like weird. Like these got these big bulging eyes and just people coming about. It was kind of weird, them blinking their eyes, and I don't know. But yeah, they had some of them too. But it was a nice setting. Very nice. Yeah, you got some good pictures there. Yeah, that was pretty good. And we obviously having an outdoor wedding, you're worried about the weather, and then what do we get? Rain.
It was raining yesterday.
Rain, yeah. But it stopped probably around 2:00. Okay. So the wedding was at 4, a little after. So the sun was out, and it was perfect for their wedding. So glad that went well for them, and it was very, very nice on a January day, and. Thankfully, we don't drink anymore, and we were not hungover. We weren't among the hungover people there.
I was.
I bet.
I slept a lot yesterday, I'll tell you what. I started my New Year's asleep.
Yeah, that's all right, though. But, yeah, happy, happiness to them. Bless them.
To them,
yeah. Good young couple. And he's a really good kid. I really like him a lot. So, yeah, wishing them. I think tomorrow. I think they leave for their honeymoon. They got a real nice honeymoon planned as well. So, good for them. Got to meet the parents, which was cool too. And yeah. So, in the midst of all that, the football game is on. So I had my phone. And I did keep it on the dime low, man. But we did track the game because I got I'm not embarrassed because I don't really embarrass easily. I'm what was embarrassing was Alabama. Alabama was embarrassing.
Correct. I agree.
Yeah, that was just they've either, been a decent team this year, and a few times they really looked like really on point, but most of the time they were just decent. And then they had a couple times where they just looked like garbage. And that's the team that showed up to play against Indiana. And I do have to apologize about one thing. I have to apologize for underestimating Indiana. I really felt like whoever won the Alabama-Oklahoma game would beat Indiana. I'm sorry. That's what I thought. I thought Indiana had a pretty weak schedule last year and didn't necessarily deserve to be in the playoff last year. And they got eliminated very quickly. And this year, I just, again, thought that their schedule was more on the weak side of the Big Ten teams. And because it was a close game against Ohio State, only winning by 3 points, and Ohio State not really playing their best ball, that I've just been reluctant to give Indiana their due. And I was wrong for that. Indiana deserves to be considered an elite team now. And, they have made the playoffs 2 years in a row. And right now, of all of the teams left, who has had the strongest performance? By far, so far, it has been, Indiana. They're the only team that has broken this really weird thing that's gone on. So in the last 2 years, whoever was ranked 1 through 4 got a bye.
Gotcha.
And last year, all 4 of those teams lost then in the quarterfinals.
Damn.
And this year, it, looked like it could turn out to be something similar, and was, until Indiana. Indiana is the only team that's been ranked in the top 4 in the past 2 seasons that won their quarterfinal game. And that says something. It said something about taking that week off that's not really so good for these teams. It says something that these games, Indiana should have been playing Alabama, and deservedly so, in Indiana. That would have been, and it's cold. People have always wanted to see, let those SEC teams come up north. Yeah, I'm not against that. I root for SEC teams, but yeah, let them come up north. Let them. That's how football's played, man. It is played outside. But they deserve that home game. Quarterfinal teams that are the higher ranked team deserve those home games. Let Miami come up and play at Ohio State. Although the way they played yesterday, I don't know that the outcome would have been any different.
Yeah,
honestly, yeah. And, Alabama was able to beat Georgia at Georgia, and then, Georgia wiped the floor with them in the SEC championship game. And we'll get to Ole Miss and what they did. That was phenomenal. And hats off to Dan Lanning, the Oregon coach, for actually saying after the game that they dominated and won 23-0 against a very good, one of the top defenses in the country, that game should have been played in Texas. Should have been in Lubbock. That would have been great because they had the better seed. And he felt last year, they were the better seeded team, that their quarterfinal game that they lost to Ohio State should have been played in Oregon. But hats off to him for being consistent and saying, not just us, we're not just selfish, but this year we should have been playing there. The only games that should be, and I don't know why semifinals couldn't either, but they want to keep some semblance of the bowls. But you should have your 3 big bowls. One of them should be the Rose Bowl, and you can rotate the 3. The Rose Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl, and the Orange Bowl, and you rotate those 3
for like the location
for the semifinals and finals. Yeah, where yesterday, Alabama and Indiana were the Rose Bowl game. And I've been there for that, once a couple years ago and enjoyed it, loved it. But that really, that was always known as the granddaddy of them all. So put them in the top 3 of the bowls and rotate them. The Fiesta Bowl, because who the fuck wouldn't want to come to Phoenix, right? It's always been good. It's warm. It's beautiful here. And then the Orange Bowl, if you're not going to be in Phoenix, where else do you want to be? You want to be in California? You want to, L.A.? You want to be in Phoenix and Miami. There you go. Rotate those 3. Yeah. So that's great for your final 3 games. Absolutely. But the quarterfinal games, why shouldn't the higher seed team have a little bit of an edge after having earned it and again, not having the week off just too long. What was longer than a week? I think it was 20-some days for some of the teams. So that just is too long for them to be off, and it's been shown that, only winning one of the 7 games, that something is going on there. You would think that you would be better prepared. You would think you would be more rested. But, in fact, you come with a little bit of rust.
I think it's like psychologically studied that it's actually worse.
It's just that downtime. It's just that after. It's almost like I could compare it to Dawn after her competition. She was on that adrenaline for her competition, and then once that was over, the next 2 weeks training was almost non-existent. It was hard.
Mm-hmm.
It was hard, and we just had to scale everything way back because it was just this relief, like, that's done. I got there. But if you keep going, you maintain that until you hit that point. Your body just knows. And there has to be something to that. So sometimes we think certain things and they're going to have certain outcomes. It doesn't happen, just like I did with these games. And part of my mistake in picking these games is I placed too much emphasis on the past, too much belief that Georgia, who has been dominant, for the last 8 years, along with Alabama, that just, well, they're just going to, when it counts most, they're going to be Georgia. And that hasn't always been true this season. There's definitely a little bit of a downswing there. And we have some other up-and-comers that are trying to prove themselves, like Oregon. Oregon's been there. They've been at this top level. They just haven't finished it off. And now we got a brand newcomer with Indiana and their coach, Kirk Cignetti, who's done a phenomenal job and flat out coached Ryan Day in their game. And then Ryan Day really got out coached again against Miami because he didn't make the changes that I'm used to seeing Ryan Day make in games like this. I really expected a better second half from Ohio State, and it just didn't materialize. And the quarterback for Ohio State, who at times during the year was talked about as, potentially being a Heisman, well, he did not play Heisman ball in this particular game. And Ohio State has a decent running game, but not a great running game where, but this Miami team, they've been hard to judge. If they had played like this most of the season, it would be different. But when you lose to 2 unranked teams, when you lose to somebody like SMU, it just hurts the credibility. You thought that they had, stability. They have extreme leadership at the quarterback position in Beck. And so you think they're really super stable there, and that defense can really light it up. Almost reminded me of, the University of Miami defenses 25 years ago. They can really turn it on. And then Fletcher, he seems a little bit underrated too. Tony, he's not underrated. He just does what he does on offense, and nobody seems to be able to stop that guy. And they were just clicking on all cylinders. But we didn't see that the whole year. We saw some definite sputters there, so that planted the doubts, at least for me, with Miami. And I didn't doubt Ohio State. You know, being as dominant as they were over the course of the year, only losing the Big Ten by 3 when they didn't play particularly well, that, you know, I really thought that they were clearly the number 1 team in the country, even with the 1 loss to Indiana. I just thought, you know, that they were my pick to go all the way. They really were. You know, Texas Tech turned out to not be that. That defense was absolutely great, like it is, but that offense couldn't do shit. They couldn't pass the ball. They couldn't run the ball. You know, they were always in 3rd and long. They just couldn't make it happen. And Oregon was just consistent. That's all. They were just consistent and steady. I think the quarterback had 1 interception, but, you know, for the most part, he was just steady that whole game. So then, you know, like I said, Alabama and Indiana, what do you say? I mean, Alabama just simply did not show up, and they rely on their passing game, which didn't materialize this time. They really haven't had a running game the whole season. They've only had a couple little bright spots here and there, but not very often. And it just isn't there, and it hasn't been there this whole year, and you have to have a running game. If you want to go deep in these playoffs, you have to be able to run the ball. And Indiana ran the ball right down their throats, and they could do nothing to stop them. And when they needed to pass, I mean, I think he only threw 16 passes. He was like 14 of 16. But that kind of, which seems low, but it was just at the right times.
It would have been nice. The one thing that I was like listening to is that anytime that Alabama did try to run the ball, it was the QB having to run it. So he was constantly getting hit. Or at least that's what the commentators were saying, that the 2 previous games, like the entire time, although they did pass, the QB was just getting demolished the entire game.
Well, but it's easier when the team doesn't have a running game. The defense is going to pin their ears back and just keep coming at you because they know you can't do anything. So, yeah, 14 to 16 for 192 yards. That's a lot of yards out of 14 passes.
For 14 passes, that's a lot.
Yeah. But when you look, you have 2 guys that almost have 100 yards each. You're averaging 6.6 and 4.9 yards a carry. How much do you need to pass the ball when you're doing that?
And then
you don't.
Alabama was 17 and 13.
They controlled the game. They controlled the offensive line, and when they were on defense, they controlled the defensive line. Their line was great on both sides of the ball.
My God.
I know. You don't see that in an Alabama game. And that's why Alabama fans are really not happy with Kalen DeBoer, and he missed his opportunity to leave and go to Michigan.
Oh, he had the opportunity this year?
Oh, sure, they wanted him. Michigan wanted him. He was being talked about. But, you know, he got Alabama to the playoffs, was going to stick around, and here you go. But there's just something about him that's a little off. You cannot expect any coach. And it's so tough for a coach to come after a legend, and not just any legend, the legend. Nick Saban is the greatest coach of college football ever in the history of college football. And you're just not going to measure up to that guy, no matter what. But it just, something feels off about him and off about this. I don't know if he can ever be the guy to take them back across that line, because you just always felt like it's Alabama. They never rebuild. They just reload. And Ohio State, another team that became that way. Georgia, another. That's why they were so consistently at the top, just reloading. But the good and the bad, you know, we talk a lot about bad about the NIL, but the good about the NIL is things are kind of evening out a little bit there. Teams are getting access to players that they wouldn't have gotten access to before. And guys who are capable of being on the field, you know, are able to make the field now where they weren't before because, you know, they had to spend their time on the bench. Well, now they can say, fuck that. You know, obviously Alabama thought enough of this guy that they recruited him so highly. But then, you know, again, they have their quarterback for another year. They're putting this guy on the bench. And he just says, you know, I'm good enough to play now. I'm going to go where I can play now. And I don't blame him for that at all. But that does even things out quite a lot. I don't know if I don't believe that there was a quarterback who won in these games that didn't come from somewhere else. And even in the losses, I'm looking at the teams right now. The only team that I really can think of where their quarterback didn't come from somewhere else was Julian Sand. I think the other ones all, you know, that's how you would, if you want to look at it, how many of the quarterbacks in the quarterfinals for the CFP 2026 actually played for other college teams before this year? It's got to be a good number. I'm going 7-1. So giving it to us, no?
I think in 2025 college football quarterfinals, 5 of the 8 starting quarterbacks had previously played with the other colleges teams before this year. So who Indiana, Miami, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas Tech are the 5. And then you had Alabama original, Georgia original, and Ole Miss original school.
Okay. I should have known Alabama. But yeah, all right. 5. That's a big deal, man. That's how it's been working year in and year out now since this has been going on in the last few years. Good find. So I apologize about Indiana and not giving them the due. Indiana to go all the way.
Okay.
They're just, I should have picked them sooner, and I didn't. I let my biases to past performance influence my future projections and just not giving them the credit. They are real, they are legit, and they deserve to be recognized by everyone, especially the people who have been fighting that, like me, in giving them that due. Yeah. And then Ole Miss, I do have to say this about Ole Miss, because it's so phenomenal what they did without their coach, Lane Kiffin, left them for LSU, that it probably wasn't easy. And it showed in the bowl game, Texas versus Michigan, that these coaches who've had to step in, these assistant coaches, offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, who have had to step into the head coaching position because their head coach left before the bowl game was played, that, you know, or the playoffs in this case. So you work so hard. That's what you work your life for as a coach, to now make these playoffs. You get a team that you do that with in what many people consider the toughest conference in the SEC, and you do that, and then you don't play in any, you don't coach any of the games. You decide that your opportunity is better elsewhere, and you leave. And I think what the players have done, I'm not taking anything away from what the coaches who stayed to help coach this game, I'm not taking anything away from them, but I've always believed players win games, coaches lose games, officials ruin games. That's usually my order that I go in. And when you want to talk about players winning a game, this is it. This is players winning a game. I don't think it mattered what the game plan was. It wasn't about the game plan. It was about raw in their heart that they used this
as motivation.
It's not revenge, but yeah, they definitely used this as motivation, 100%. That this feeling of abandonment, the coach abandoned them, right? They're there, they get there, they figure they did their job, they get the coach there. Why wouldn't the coach want to stick around with them? Almost like losing a parent in divorce. What did I do? Why are you leaving? You know, very much like that. And these players gave a big fuck you to Lane Kiffin. And like, we're not going down. Now, can that carry into one more game? I don't know.
Especially towards, Miami's doing really well right now, too.
Yeah, it seems that way. But I'd have that of those games. Either one of these are tough. I think are a tough call, tough pick.
I don't watch a lot of college football, but just watching these past few games, I think Indiana for sure is gonna steamroll.
Well, they just seem to be the most complete team.
Exactly.
And we haven't acknowledged it before.
Consistency.
And they deserve it.
Super important.
Yeah.
Miami, Ole Miss, though, I feel like that's definitely going to be another one of those like Ole Miss, Georgia games where it's going to be very down to the wire, very last minute.
It's going to be who's the game? What game do I get to go see? I think because I thought it was going to be Ohio State and Georgia. So I think, that's it. You saw it. It was right there. Yeah. So I am going to be at this game. I'm going to be at the Miami Ole Miss game.
This is a really good game to be at, actually.
And then Dawn and I will be, I'll be doing the podcast from Miami. So we'll be talking about that too.
Oh, that's next week, actually. Is that next week?
January 8th. Yep. Next Thursday and Friday. And then on the 19th. So Thursday next week, we will be at that game. And then, they just had a game at the Hard Rock, which is where they had the Orange Bowl game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What? So why do some locations get more than one game? Is there like specifics around that? Or?
Because it's Miami, just like it's Phoenix.
Just it brings people in. Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
There's only so many places you can bring people in, and some are better than others.
Fair enough.
And have a good time, and have the restaurants, and have the nightlife, and everything to be able to the whole event surrounding it. Yes.
Like that. Gotcha. So who do you have? So you have Indiana going all the way, and then out of Miami and Ole Miss. I know you like the. I can see that you're getting behind Ole Miss.
I thought Miami could be, a solid team at the beginning of the year.
You didn't expect them to be here, though.
No, and I really didn't, and especially after their 2 losses to unranked teams, and I absolutely did not expect them to beat Ohio State.
I honestly didn't even think that they were going to beat Texas A&M. Like, again, I don't know too much about college, but from what I put together, I honestly didn't think they were going to beat Texas.
Right, and that was actually not a great game.
It wasn't, 10-3.
Yeah, no, and it just was boring to watch. It just wasn't a great game. But there's just something about it. I don't think they can win it all, but there is something about that Ole Miss team.
I like it. I'm not gonna lie. The whole when you walked in here and you reminded me that their coach actually ended up leaving. Yeah, that game, they have my support. I'm going with Ole Miss all the way. They're beating Indiana.
They do have that fuck you.
Exactly.
And
sometimes the mentality is the more important thing.
Dude, there's a lot to be said for that mindset. A lot to be said for that. But I'm not going to underestimate Indiana again. That's just not going to happen. It's just not. And, they're the only undefeated team left.
Yeah, I was actually curious. I didn't realize that it wasn't as rare to see a team go completely undefeated all the way through into the playoffs and everything.
Yeah.
So there's like 6 or 7 other teams have done it. So
yeah, but it's still a hard thing to do.
Oh yeah.
And doing what they've done, look, they beat 2 of the best teams of the last 5 years in back-to-back games. Ohio State and Alabama.
And I mean, the last game
they did it convincingly.
Exactly.
They did it convincingly. So, it looked good. Their run game that I don't think gets enough credit, and their quarterback he's just a cool cat. Of all the different quarterbacks right now, he looks the most ready for the NFL. To me, He looks the most ready. That he can handle the pressure and stay with it and do what it's funny when he runs though, dude. He is the ugliest fucking runner.
If I remember correctly, it looks like he shouldn't be running.
But the way he does it in the moments that he picks good moments where he actually accomplishes something. So good for him. I can't remember which announcer said it, but it said he looked like he was running like a giraffe running.
Yeah, you're not wrong though. Like, it looks weird.
He's not.
As well.
He's not. So there you go. That's we a lot of football today because I'm just gonna be honest with you, tell you right now. I really don't want to talk politics today. It's a new year. I want to feel good. I do. I want to have a good mindset. I'm focused on good things happening for this year, possibilities of this year, new people that I've been meeting and talking about, other business things that we can do and things going on with the podcast. And I want to focus on that. And the political shit, sometimes we just need a break. I don't know how else to say it. Sometimes we just need a break.
Gotta have fun in life.
So yeah, fuck politics today. I did want to. We have enough time because
right? I don't go in until like 1:30 today, so we got plenty of time.
So let's do this. There is a video that's about 14, 15 minutes?
About 14 and some cents.
This video, I came across this, and I was like, what? Who the fuck quits taking testosterone? If you are on testosterone replacement therapy, you are on testosterone for life, or should be. It's not going to fix itself after so long, especially so long after doing this. Now, do I believe that people should make lifestyle changes either before or when they take it? Well, when they take it, if their lifestyle hasn't been the best, they do need to change it. And I'm not necessarily against people spending some time to do that. But what I have found consistently over 15 years is that when somebody has very low testosterone, say in the 200s, and they're overweight and they have a shitty diet, that if they change their lifestyle, they might be able to get their testosterone into the 300s. These dramatic things where people say, oh, I recovered all my normal levels. And that is so fucking rare. So fucking rare. And you don't even know if it's true or not. But let's say it is. It's so rare, even in that. It's just not a thing. That why would somebody who is on TRT, why would they stop? And that's the issue. And we're going to watch this video. I'm going to break it down, give you my reaction to it as we go. So football and testosterone today. That's kind of goes together. So let's hit that and start the video and see what he has to say.
A year ago, my life hit rock bottom. And the most important person in my life decided that they didn't know if they could be with me any longer. And I had to assess every single area of my life. And I had to figure out how I disconnected from the person that I love the most. So after 12 years, I have decided to come off of TRT. And looking back, it's hard to say if it was a mistake or not, but I definitely know that I made the right decision. And I want to share with you guys my story with testosterone therapy, when I went on it, how long I was on it, and everything that you might be thinking if you're currently on it, if you're wondering if you should go on it, etc. If you want to come off of it, what can you expect, and why I feel that this has been one of the best decisions that I've personally made for myself. It all started in 2011 when I wanted to compete. and get my WBFF Pro card. And I went down to Tampa, Florida. I was working at a powerhouse gym, and it was just full of jack dudes, fit girls. Like everyone was in shape. And I quickly found out that there was a hormone that everybody took that was essentially normal, and it was called testosterone replacement therapy. I mean, we all know testosterone, but I didn't realize there was a way to take it that was like normal and that wasn't illegal and that was gym acceptable, and it would only bring my levels to where they should be. And there was a doctor who worked out of the gym who seemed like a really normal guy, very knowledgeable guy, not a weird guy, wasn't like trying to sell anything. And a lot of guys just told me, yeah, if you're interested in getting optimized, go talk to Dr. So-and-so. Sure enough, he said, yeah, come on into the office, get your levels checked, and we'll see where you're at. And I was getting ready for a show, so I decided to get everything checked after my shows. And after the shows, sure enough, my levels were in the toilet. After preparing to get down to 4.8% body fat, double day training, I did that for multiple months. I did get my WBFF Pro card. He said that you would be a great candidate. I don't know if that's how he worded it, but he essentially said you would definitely benefit from testosterone replacement therapy. The cost wasn't too crazy. You know, I was making really, decent money online, so that didn't faze me. But the first concern I had was like, is this something I do short term or like long term? He's like, oh no, you do this for life. You'll stay on this. This is something you'll do forever. And that word forever didn't sit right with me. And I didn't sit there and process it. I just, like most guys do, just made a head decision, didn't make a heart decision, and just jumped into it. And next thing you know, my wife is a nurse, and she knows how to do the injections. So she was doing it weekly for me. And I quickly realized this was a massive inconvenience. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this the rest of my life. And then I travel a lot, and I wasn't fully sure if like going across the border or not, like if I was going to get pulled over, and how do I explain that if they open my suitcase and they see like, syringes and stuff like that. So I never vibed with this lifestyle.
All right, let's stop and go over that right now with this. So a few things that pop out at me right away. He goes into his story, which is smart. It's a smart way to present it, because it's hard to argue with somebody's story. Their story is their experience. So he picked a smart way to present it. Now, what were, his levels were low after the show, but he doesn't give any specifics of what the numbers actually were. And can you look up for me, Leo, what the fuck is the WBFF? There's the IBF, but the WBFF, what the fuck is that?
So it has two main meanings: the World Beauty, Fitness, and Fashion, a major fitness and bodybuilding competition brand known for blending glamour and athleticism, and WBFF TV, a Fox affiliated television station in Baltimore, Maryland, originally known as Baltimore Finest Feature. So I'm assuming he's referring to the World Beauty, Fitness, and Fashion then.
Yeah.
Okay.
World Beauty and Fitness Fashion. Okay, and your pro card. I don't even know what that even means or entails, except that you're probably not going to win very much. I don't know if that's an organization that is tested or not. Can you see? Is it an organization that tests its athletes? Or it's okay.
I have to specify that we're talking about the one extra second.
Yeah. He doesn't look that big to me. He doesn't even look the 4.8% body fat that he claims.
I think that's why
He
maybe
looks
it's
fit.
more of like the again the beauty side of like the what is it, the evenness of the muscles and the build, like
I don't know,
instead of the actual.
But like every guy was wearing different shorts, some long, some shorter. There was nothing. This is not a big organization. Okay, just so you know, this is not like some big organization that
untested
people listen. It's untested,
and it focuses more on glamour, marketability, and high fashion aesthetics.
So some people may be on testosterone, some people not. They may be on other steroids, maybe not, or growth hormone. He apparently wasn't, and it looked like most of those guys weren't actually. But that's fine. I'm not slamming it for that purpose, other than, it's just not like some serious. It's not a serious bodybuilding organization, okay?
It's more like a model type.
That's what it kind of looks like. Yeah. It's more modeling.
Because it does say that they focus more on the glamour and the marketability. So I'm assuming they're looking for people that they can sell some sort of products with to go alongside.
And what was it? What was it that was affecting his relationship and his marriage? He doesn't say. He says he hit rock bottom, that there was stress in his relationship. Was it over the testosterone? Maybe it could have been. It almost seems like it was a little bit implied, but we don't know. Or was it something else? Was he, fooling around, cheating, talking to other women? He was getting attention, which I think he talks about shortly. We don't exactly know I guess I want to know more of what the role he thought that testosterone was playing in it as a negative for the relationship. Because I can tell you, if a man is depressed, if a man doesn't have confidence, if a man doesn't have energy, all of those things can be a part of low T, then they're not going to be the best partner they can be for someone. So actually, testosterone can help improve and has improved many people's relationships. I've seen it. That's my story of working with so many different clients over the last 15 years, and how many men and even their wives have thanked me for helping save their marriage because their husband got their mojo back. Their mojo was missing. And if you talk about what makes up a man's mojo, it's testosterone. That's what makes a man's that's what makes his mojo go. So then he said, so that's, the one thing hard to argue. In the 4.8% body fat, I don't know if that's really accurate. And then he said he made his decision with his head, not his heart. Isn't it always better to make your decision with the head instead of the heart?
I would assume so. I was also confused by that.
That didn't make any sense to me. So you went against your feelings, and you regret that you went against your feelings?
Yes. That's what he's upset.
Right? Yeah. That's the dumbest thing in the world. Fuck your feelings, dude. It's always funny when somebody's, you feel bad, your feelings hurt. No, motherfucker, my feelings are never really hurt because I don't care about my feelings, and then that makes it even less likely that I'm going to give a shit about yours. I just don't care about feelings. Just like I don't care about words. I don't care about words. I don't care what people say. I don't care what people feel. I care about what people do. I judge everything on actions. And when your words don't match your actions, I know your words are shit. Your words are only good when they match your actions. But I don't understand this. Yeah, I think he says it a couple more times in the video too, but dude, you're being a chick. Fuck your feelings. All right? And and then the thing about, he's only injecting once a week. Well, y'all know how I feel about injecting once a week. The minimum should be twice a week, splitting the weekly total dosage into 2 or more. More can be even better. And just get over it. When you're bitching about how inconvenient is it for you to take, it's less inconvenient for you to stick a needle in a bottle and pull out 1 ml of testosterone. It's going to take you 5 times that long to make your protein shake. Okay? So what are you talking about? That, this time and inconvenience. And yes, you can fucking travel with it. I've literally traveled everywhere with my TRT, everywhere. In both carry-on and packed luggage. And I've never had an issue. In 17 years. None of my clients have had an issue in all of that time. So I don't know what you're worried about or scared about, but he just seems like a scared dude about this. And if you're scared, you shouldn't do it. If you're scared, don't do testosterone. It's a totally safe and legit thing to do, but if you're scared, then don't. Wait till you're not scared anymore. Let's see what else he has to say.
It felt secretive. And I didn't tell anybody either. Deep down, I kind of felt like I was doing something wrong. And that was my conscience. I'm not saying that's what you feel or should feel. That's just how I felt. As a guy who preached natural fitness, I think I saw this as kind of a hack, as like a kind of a secret doorway into a world that would give me an edge without actually cheating. And everybody reassured me, we're not taking your levels to super physiological levels. And I never did abuse it. I stayed on the 100 milligrams exactly as the doctor prescribed. But what I noticed when I did go on it, especially in the first 1 or 2 years, is I gained a new identity. Like, I did get bigger. I was fuller, I was leaner, I had more energy, I was more decisive, I was stronger, and people noticed. I got more attention. It helped with my YouTube videos. It helped sell programs. And again, deep down, I felt like a fraud. Even though everybody in the industry was saying, well, you're still gonna test normal, your levels aren't like super physiological, you're just where you should be. This is just to help you feel better. So I heard all that. And that's why I kept doing it. I'm like, I'm not cheating anybody, but I also wasn't telling anybody, and that didn't sit right. So I continued on this journey. And one of the things that also made it easier for me to get on was when I saw the doctor, like, he was very professional, he wasn't hypey, he wasn't trying to sell me. And he told me what would help optimize the process. And he said, Vince, you're gonna wanna cut out sugar. We're gonna have to start sleeping better. We're gonna have to dial in your nutrition. We're gonna wanna start training really consistently. Those are all things I was doing, but I was kind of lax in some of those areas. We're gonna wanna really up your water intake. So when you're in a position to take a drug, synthetic hormone, bioidentical hormone, whatever we call it, and you also see like there's an opportunity to dial in all the natural things that are gonna enhance my physique. So I think I saw the compound effect of dialing all these things I already knew needed to be on point, but the drug, the testosterone, gave me extra motivation to pull it all together. And when you start seeing results quickly and you start getting recognized, you start making more money, you start getting more views on your content, I mean, you essentially created a whole new lifestyle. People see you differently, and it was very, very hard to imagine not being on this stuff. And as you start to get on, you start to research it and you start to hear stuff around, oh, your body might start to adapt, and people start telling you may bump the dose up just a little bit and you'll get a little more boost, but like you'll still be natural. And if you want to like harden up a bit, there's these other things like Anavar and Winstrol. And the next thing I know, I'm like learning about drugs. I'm learning about steroids, and I'm like, this is not who I am. And I realized that this rabbit hole could go pretty deep. And I wouldn't say I have addictive behavior, but I definitely started to see how it could become addictive behavior, and it started to scare me. And I started to think, crap, man, I could bump my testosterone up to double per week, and I could take some of these pills that apparently there's all these other things I could take to lessen the effect on my liver, and then this could give me an advantage. I'm like, how did I get here? How did I get here? And I quickly started to realize that this didn't have anything to do with feeling better. And I know that's what a lot of guys hear when they go on testosterone. You hear like guys like Joe Rogan who says it makes you feel better. And it does make you feel better, but you're also dependent now on something artificial to feel better. And what I also found was that while it was making me feel better, like energy levels, I was able to do more in less time. That's a great way to put it for a lot of business people out there. Like, you're more productive. You can make decisions fast. You just got more confidence. You carry yourself differently. I just felt like more of a man, if you will.
Okay,
and
we need to stop it here. All of those things that he lists and talks about seem to me to be like reasons to do it. More confident, stronger, you feel better. But he's trying to portray that as negative or bad things. What the fuck is bad about that? And let me just clear things up. This is my view of this. I don't think it's very difficult. If you use exogenous testosterone, if you inject testosterone, as I do and have for 17 years, whether it's as a TRT dose or if it's as a more of a bodybuilding dose, for that super physiological effect that he mentioned there. Either way, you're not natty. You're not. And look at all those. He reminds me of a natty because I was there one day. I was there for, the first, 20 years of working out from 20 to 40, or most of that time. I think I probably worked out 15 of those 20 years. But I would have every over-the-counter thing you could take and possibly to try to get an edge naturally. The money that I wasted to get an edge naturally just never happened. It's never worth that money. And, take a good vitamin stack that you like. I still use Thrive's Lavelle, but I do that just to help fill in the gaps for me nutrition-wise, and my nutrition's on point. But yeah, listen, to get the most out of taking testosterone, you have to do the other things he said. And there's nothing bad about that. That adds to your health. If you're taking testosterone, it's going to maybe make you more likely to say, well, maybe I should drink a little less or not at all. Or maybe I should watch, a little bit about what I'm eating and, some of these foods that I'm eating that are stacked with carbs and not the good kind of carbs for me. Maybe I need to cut that out. Maybe I need to eat more whole foods. And this is all he talked about. Those are all good things. And if you want to get the best results from using testosterone, you will do that. Do you have to be a bodybuilder or a lifter to use testosterone? Absolutely not. Because low T is a real thing, and men need testosterone, whether they're weight training or not. But it's usually kind of goes hand in hand a little bit, and definitely better if you do. But I kind of think everybody, if they can, should at least be doing a minimum amount every week. 30 to 40 minutes twice a week is the minimum if you want to live a good, high-quality life and maintain your muscle. You're not going to probably look jacked or anything, but you're going to look and maintain some fitness level, a little bit of muscle definition, and, eat better. Eat better. And those are all good things that he mentioned that came from that. And it carried into his business world. I talk about that all the time. That's exactly what fucking happens. I take that strength and the things I overcome in the gym and that journey, I take that into my daily life to go at it and man, just go get it on a daily basis. It goes together. And no, Winstrol and Anavar, not natty. And those are also two great compounds, but you don't have to do it. It is not part of testosterone replacement therapy either. If you're taking those, even if you're doing a testosterone replacement therapy dose, if you're taking Winstrol and or Anavar, you're not natty. You're not even natty if you're taking testosterone. Even at the lower levels, you're still not natty. Because you're putting yourself, or should be, or why are you even taking it, at an optimized level, at the high end of normal. Your normal was what your normal was because of your food, your environment, your genetics, and all that, and it sucked, and that's why you were supplementing in the first place. I'm thinking more of this has to do with the wife. Souring on the whole thing and wanting to blame the steroids. Because trust me, I've heard that from women before. And when it comes to that kind of stuff, women can go fuck themselves. It's just bullshit. You want a weak, no testosterone dude? There's plenty of them out there. But you guys who want to be men, don't. There's plenty of women out there. Find a different one. Do not let a woman do that to you. It is, no. Literally, it's what makes a man a man. But yeah, I said his whole cabinet thing was crazy. It's not necessarily a new identity. It's more of you coming out. You're going to get, potentially, if you eat right and take this and do it properly, you're going to feel stronger. You're going to feel more confident. You're going to feel bigger, and you're going to not want to take shit. Again, all his reasons for stopping or not doing it, or he's talking about, like, those are, like, I think about those exact same things, but in the total opposite way. And if you want to be natty, be natty. But you want that little extra mojo, this is definitely where it's at. And it's not artificial. Your body makes testosterone. Yes, you're putting a synthetic version into your body. A synthetic version that is exactly molecularly identical to what your body makes. It's not like other drugs. I say it over and over. Your body doesn't produce Percocets. Nice when you're in pain, but your body doesn't produce that. It produces testosterone. And for too many men now, that it's not enough. And like I said, I don't want to push people to do it, but I'm going to push back against when it comes out, people who are against men that are doing it. And he kept it a secret because that was kind of the thing then. And it's been changing. People didn't want to admit they were on cycles. Now you have people that don't want to admit they're on TRT. And why don't some men want to admit it? Because it still takes hard work. It still takes tremendous hard work. And when you tell the public that you're taking this, then what the public thinks is, well, that's the only reason he's in good shape. Just because he sticks a needle in his ass. No, motherfucker, it doesn't work like that. And here's the difference between me and him. I don't give a fuck what those people think or how they feel about it. He cares too much about his feelings. He cares too much and feels too much about what other people feel about it. And that's just total garbage, and that's his fault. All right, continue on with it.
I walk into a room and you quickly realize you're one of the bigger dudes. You command respect, and that does make you feel better. But what really bugged me was, why am I not content with who I am? Why am I trying to measure up to the size of all these other guys who are on it? And a lot of guys openly admit, I take TRT. And why am I not content with how I look, with how I feel? And I realized that TRT was filling a void in my life. And I was using all the health reasons to kind of justify something that was giving me an unfair advantage. Then she just kind of like settle in, and, I'm not thinking about this 24/7, but it starts to, become a part of who you are. And I got to a point in my life where I had to ask, do I want to inject needles the rest of my life? I know you could put it in your thigh, you could do creams, and you could do nasal stuff. There's different ways of doing it that, are less inconvenient, like sticking it in your butt. And I just had to ask myself, some simple questions. And, having a son, my son's 8 years old now, and having two daughters, I was thinking more along the lines of, like, my son asking me one day, hey, Dad, I saw some needles in your cupboard. And what is that? Do I need that? And I would say, fuck no, Gianluca. We're not doing that shit. If that was my immediate visceral response to my son, the person who means the most to me, the boy in my life that means more to me than anybody else on planet Earth, I would tell him something differently. What am I doing? And I started to ask myself, hey, Dad, I want an edge too. Like, I would start to say, no, Gianluca, like, what void are we trying to fill? And again, it would go to an identity conversation. It would, sure, we could check his levels if he was like in an area that he was completely suffering. That's a different conversation. But I'm really kind of talking to the guy that's doing well, and he's not content with who he sees in the mirror, and he feels like he isn't worthy enough, and that he can't achieve his goals in life unless he adds this thing to his life. And that was the thing that bothered me. So I had to ask myself, my son's 8. Do I want to tell him when he's 16, 25? Like, guys are going on TRT like in their mid-20s now, like 400 milligrams, 500 milligrams.
Okay.
And it's...
Stop. 400, 500 milligrams is beginner and basic doses for bodybuilding cycles. That is not TRT. This is the problem. People like this, that have used and think they know shit and they don't know fucking jack anything, because I get too many people out there that when I talk to them now, yeah, I want some TRT. That's what they're calling Testosterone now. Testosterone is the drug, and I hate to call it a drug, but it's a drug that is taken if you have low testosterone. It's taken as the solution for testosterone replacement therapy, and so is an Ncaa. Those are your two biggest ones. And it's all in the dosing. If you're between, say, as low as 50, and I know somebody that was doing 50 once a week, what a terrible, terrible dose he was given. But 50 milligrams, I usually like to say 100. Most men are not going to reach optimal levels under 100 milligrams, no matter what their age is. So it's going to be anywhere from 100 to 250, or I'm sorry, 100 to 125 milligrams twice a week. That's going to be your range, up to 250 twice a week. That puts me at the 1250, 1300 mark, at the very high end of normal. And when I'm doing 500 or more, but when I'm doing 500 milligrams of testosterone, you know, as I did over two and a half months ago when I got my blood work done, I was at 2,700 was my level for testosterone. So, yeah, if young guys are doing 400 or 500, they're not doing TRT. But because all you motherfuckers are calling everything TRT now because that's what's acceptable to call it, then we have a problem. There's total miscommunication of what this is and how it works and how the dosing works. And you're not helping that in any way, bro. You're not helping that because it's just not fucking true. That is not TRT. TRT is going to be either replacement or optimization therapy. Replacement therapy might get you in the 600 to 800 area. Optimization is going to put you at the high end of normal. And what I can tell you for a fact is having the levels of a 20-year-old, if you're 35, if you're 55, if you're 57, having the levels of a 20-year-old, there's no health risk. None. No health risks. It's just bullshit. And we got to call it like we see it and call it what it is. But yeah, if young guys have, you know, always done that. And now it's more and more. But there are more young guys that truly are low T. You know, we freely talk about it. Don's son, he's 29 years old. And I think his levels were under 200. And that's not normal for somebody in their late 20s. But it was true for him. That used to not be the case, but it's the case now. And do you want to feel better? Do you want to live better? Do you want to fix that? It'd be like, why should you live with low thyroid if you have low thyroid? Why shouldn't you fix it if you can? And fixing it is, you know, giving yourself thyroid meds. And you're going to have to take them for the rest of your life. But why would you not want to? Why would you want to stay natty in that case? When it's something that's going to hurt your health, it's going to make it harder to lose weight. You're more likely to gain weight, not feel good about yourself. Why do that? That makes no sense. And if it's okay to fix that, then why isn't it okay to fix low testosterone? All right, let him continue and finish.
It's like, it's insane what we've accepted as to be acceptable. A little over a year ago, my life hit rock bottom. And the most important person in my life decided that they didn't know if they could be with me any longer. And I had to assess every single area of my life. And I had to figure out how I disconnected from the person that I love the most, and how I created this life that was built around external validation, money, fame, success. And I had to start looking at everything in my life that had led to this drive and this ability to produce more that I was unable to manage. And sure, you could say, well, Vince, just manage it better. And I had to assess one of the things that led me to this place of disconnection from my head and my heart and from living from a place of authenticity and being who I really am. And Vince Del Monte is not a drug guy. I didn't grow up with drugs. I didn't grow up with steroids. I didn't grow up in that culture. Going on TRT was not who I am. I grew up in an Italian home. None of the guys went on. I go, well, but Vince, the times are different. The food is different. The call this toxins. I get it. I've heard it all. I get it. But that's not who I am. And a lot of people kind of get into this lifestyle that's not truly who they are. And I realized that's what got me into trouble with my business. And pursuing more and more, sell. I was not authentic with who I was. I didn't love who I was. I didn't respect who I was. Respect is listening to yourself. I wanted to fit in. I wanted more. And because those were the reasons for me, that I knew that TRT was something that I entertained and accepted into my life, I had to assess it and say, you know what, I want to live from a place of authenticity, from a place of sincerity, from a place of looking in the mirror and actually knowing that I own my body. I never liked the concept of renting your body. And that's the way I see it. I'm not saying that's the way you have to see it, but I always felt like I didn't own my body. It was on lease to me because once I come off this drug, my levels are going to drop and I'm not going to have the same level of muscularity. I'm not going to be as lean. I'm not going to be as strong. My energy might drop. What's interesting is my energy level is better than ever right now. So that's a big myth. But I was afraid to lose things that I gained artificially and from a substance that I was injecting into my body. And it was a shortcut, right? And I wasn't willing to put in the work, the extra work to try and get my levels. I just thought, hey, this is an easier way to get an outcome that's gonna kind of prevent the harder work of actually figuring out why don't I like myself, right? That's what I mean by the harder work. I don't mean by just sleeping more, drinking more water, getting your macros even more dialed, having even a better training program. I'm like, why don't I like myself? That was the work. And I decided to come off TRT a couple months ago, and obviously I'm not as big and beefy and thick and all that, but I like who I see in the mirror more than ever. Especially, I love the concept of owning my body. And I feel good knowing that if one day my son says, hey, Dad, all my friends are going on this thing called testosterone therapy. Should I do it? I'll tell him honestly, your dad was on it for 12 years. And here's what I learned. And I just going to have a real conversation. So a big part of my reinvention and living this authentic life and being able to feel and process and be present and not functioning from crazy, frantic energy has been removing the substance. And there's been other substances that have come off as well, which I'll talk about in other videos. But this was the first one, and this was really hard for me to come off of.
Interesting that there's other substances. And that's enough of that. But yeah, all of the things that he gave as reasons are the reasons that you do it. And nobody's required to do it. If you want to live with low testosterone, live with low testosterone. There's a lot of men out there that don't want to. And they want to be treated, and they want to be treated properly. And they want to know the facts. They don't want the facts distorted. And they just want to be as healthy as they can be. And they want to feel like a man again. And that's what testosterone does. And I will go to bat for testosterone every day of the week. Every day of the week. And the little speech that he was going to give his son there that he talked about at the end, well, why couldn't he give that speech, that same speech that when he talked about previously talking to his kid in the video, that, you know, the kid finds the stuff and he says, well, you know, you're not a candidate now, but in the future, if, you know, you have low testosterone, you know, there's a way to do it and there's a right way to do it. And we'll talk about it then when you're an adult. It's the same conversation. How much different are the circumstances really? And why should your son, who's someday 29 years old, and if he's low T, if he's 240 on his total test, not free test, total test, why should he not do something about that? Why should he not do something about his free test being at 7? You know, why not? Why not feel better when you can and you're giving your body what your body should have, but it doesn't? And if some people see something wrong with that, that's your personal decision on choosing to use or not. But what I'm not going to do is allow natties to form this whole narrative around the rest of us and making it believe like, no, man, we are not cheating. You have to still put in the work. It's not that kind of magic. And if it was, I'd be the biggest motherfucker in the room because I have access to literally everything. I just want to have good, a good chance that if I put in the work, I'm going to get the results that I work so hard for. That's all guys want. They just want, like, I'm working hard. I heard that all last week from guys all over the country. Yeah, I've been doing this and I've been, back at it for over a year now. And, I made a little progress in the beginning, but I just don't feel like I'm adding muscle anymore. What can I do? What can I do? Well, let's get your levels checked. And I'm all for that all happening. He does mention that. That's probably the only good thing that he mentions. And if you want to be against it for whatever your moral reasons are, that ain't none of my business, man. I think it's bullshit. But that's on you. Don't put your morality on the rest of us or somehow like you're better because you decided to go back to being natty. You're never back to natty. You've used for an extended period of time. Even stopping, you're still not natty. You're never a virgin again. It's not a thing, bro. Right? So, men, get your levels checked. And letsgetchecked.com is a place to go to get those results. They'll send a kit to your home. You can send it back to them. They send you the results, and then you can send the results on to me, and I'll do a consultation with you. If you have that, I won't charge you for that consultation, but I will go over it with you and what your options are from there. But, yes, that is an excellent way to start is letsgetchecked.com. No hyphens or apostrophes or anything in there. All one word, letsgetchecked.com. And choose the male hormone test. There's a few different ones. And if you haven't had a complete panel taken, maybe do the little one that's more expensive. Because the information that it's going to give you is going to be valuable. So to me, it's not expensive at all based on that. So there you go, friends. Much appreciated. Check us out on, it's hard to believe. It feels like we just had a weekend and now we have a day and then we have another weekend. Like, I'm just not adjusting exactly, but we'll figure it out and we will be back on Monday. For those of you, I should have mentioned it earlier in the show, but if you follow me on Facebook, I cannot comment or post right now until January 7th. I don't know what I did, haven't found out. It is what it is, but you can contact me on other social media networks, Instagram, TikTok. We're on YouTube, putting lots of content on there as well, and even Substack. This is the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy.